Hey there, it's Celia on the record with Ratboys here in Nashville, who just played our Sonic Cathedral. So grateful to have you all here as you're coming through on tour.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
And
Hello.
mic sharing, which you're used to doing. You share a lot, right, on the road especially.
We share. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Well, thanks for sharing with us some new songs, an old song. I was so stoked, first of all, that you played at Black Earth, Wisconsin, because I think that's an awesome moment on the record after some compact radio songs.
Thanks.
To like let her rip, explore. I'm so glad that's on record and that you chose to play it. Is that how you all sound when you jam, when you're, rehearsing? Or is that like, what was that moment in time that you laid that song down and decided this is going on the window?
Yeah, that one was a really gradual evolution. I was looking back at some of our little Dropbox folders, like the demos. We would record our rehearsals every week, thinking, of songs we were going to make for the album. And that one wasn't even really in the fold until later. We were just jamming on it casually without any real intention of putting it on the record. So eventually Chris Walla, who we got to work with on the album, noticed it in one of the practice folders. He's like, "What's this? You guys need to keep working on this." And so over time it solidified into what it became. What do you think?
Oh, well, I just remember we were rehearsing it a bunch, and the way it just formed was oh, Dave, do the solo. And then everyone's looking at me while I'm soloing, and they're like, keep going.
Do more.
Keep going.
Soloing.
Don't stop.
Okay, and another 4, another 8. And eventually we had to put a pin in it. And but yeah, we ended up with that closing part with the black dirt freak you out.
Yeah.
And,
We love
it's
a
great
coda.
moment.
We love a coda. We love a long song.
Yeah, we love a long song too. And we love, for public radio, we play what we want, even if it's not a radio song, right?
Let's go.
One of our colleagues who talked to you before about this album said that was sort of like your Neil Young moment and played it opposite Neil Young on the radio, ate up half an hour. It was awesome.
It's an honor.
A dream come true. Yeah. That's so cool.
But I love the way that sounds. Like I said, on either side are these great compact songs. Talk about working with Chris and maybe some of the choices he led you to or helped you make. I don't know how heavy-handed he is as a producer. I just know you probably respect the hell out of him, having gotten to work with him, and he's done so many great records before yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the old cliche is never meet your heroes or whatever, but the opposite experience is what we had with Chris. We all grew up listening to Death Cab, and so the fact that we were even on his radar was mind-blowing to us. And then once we got in the studio, it was just I don't know, so effortless to not just lay down the songs with him, but just hang out with him. He's a very down-to-earth, generous, sincere person. And so we had a lot of fun, and he was so game to do the whole pre-production process with us. This record, we had a lot of time to work out the songs before we got in the studio, months, honestly more than a year. And so he was in those Dropbox folders,
Wow.
listening every week and giving us a few pointers, or not even, just little nudges here and there, really small things. Well, actually, they kind of turned out big. That song, Cross That Line, that's the one I remember most. He was like, what if there were no cymbals in this song? You know what I mean? Just little things we might not have thought of otherwise.
It was our first time recording the tape too, which was always kind of intimidating for us. But when we mentioned it to Chris, he's like, oh, sure thing. That's the funnest way to do it. Let's lean into it hard. So he was very reassuring in that way. And also I don't know, kind of opened our eyes up to, how much better it feels when you're just tracking to the machine and all together on the floor.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you ended up laying these down in Seattle, right? You worked in Seattle.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we went out to the Hall of Justice, which is a pretty legendary studio.
Yeah. Did the change in place influence at all how you think these songs sound on record? Just getting to camp down somewhere that's not Chicago.
Yeah, I think being away from home made us kind of focus really hard together, because there was no distractions of I don't know, going home, messing around, doing whatever. So I felt like we were really in the zone because we were so far from home.
Yeah, and we spent a whole month out in Seattle, and the Hall of Justice itself is quite a small studio. It's very cozy, and so there's no Chris mentioned this going in. He's one of the best things about it is there's nowhere to escape,
nowhere to hide.
Yeah, some studios are large and have lounges or even bedrooms and stuff where people can kind of have their own space, which is nice, but also sometimes you can kind of get lost in those spaces and get kind of disconnected from what's happening. And all four of us were in the room 99% of the track. Like we were like listening, even if, we finished the drums within the first 5 days of the 24 that we tracked, but Marcus was in the room every day for the vocals and the guitar overdub. Like we were all very tuned into what was going on the whole time.
Peer reviewing.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. It's not like I'm just the master of this domain, my instrument or whatever, and then I'm checked out and going to Subway because I can.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's what we would have done.
Perfect example.
Yeah, right.
So speaking of place too, I was thinking about you touring with the Decemberists currently.
Yeah.
And they're like the most Portland band of all time. Like you think it's like synonymous. Yes. And I wonder if you all think of yourselves, even though you've come from different points, you two met in school, right? But do you think of yourself as a very Chicago band? Like when you, I don't know, as a brand, as sort of like an introduction to Ratboys, does it feel very Chicago to you as it maybe does the listener?
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the only place I've ever lived other than going to college. I think same with everybody except Julia, who grew up in Louisville, but then really grew up in the music scene in Chicago. So I think we're very much rooted in Chicago. I hope it comes through on the
Chi-town, my town, baby.
Oh yeah, my city.
I'm obsessed with Chicago. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. That's the thing about tour that's so cool, is you get to see all these different amazing places and kind of briefly fantasize about living somewhere else. But then for me, it really makes me appreciate the place I live. And so this is I'm coming up on 10 years living in Chicago, and the music community there is just so vibrant and supportive and diverse and
eclectic.
Yeah, just totally really great mixed bills and small clubs that are accessible, and we're so grateful to be a part of it. So if we are representative of the city in any way, or if someone calls us a Chicago band, that's we're doing something right.
Yes, a point of pride.
Yeah, exactly.
You can lure me to the West Coast if you're Chris Walla for a month at a time.
Exactly, but no more.
And then
the whole time
in the Midwest.
The whole time we were there, I was like, if this earthquake happens while we're out here, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Gotta get back, sweet home Chicago.
I know.
So I wasn't going to bring this up, except it happened today. I played the title track, "The Window."
Oh yeah.
And I read about the inspiration for the song, which is super heartwarming. I mentioned that on air, and somebody wrote me immediately and said they too had a loss during the pandemic that was a goodbye through a window.
Yeah.
And it became this two-way, with a listener that was so intense. And I wonder if you've been able to, on the road or otherwise, just electronically connect with fans emotionally around your music.
Totally.
In addition to the feeling of touring and getting to see people respond to these songs.
Absolutely. I mean, that became pretty apparent right away. We hit the road about a month after we got out of the studio recording these new songs, and we started playing The Window on tour immediately on that run before the album was out, a long time before it came out. And every night on tour, at least one person would come up at the merch and be like, this completely resonates with me. This is something I've gone through, which was honestly very surprising to me. I it felt like such a unique experience I was writing about, but to realize how it was relating to other people was really special. And it actually kind of influenced our decision to title the album after that song, because that wasn't the original plan. And so it's so special. I'm so grateful that people are willing to be vulnerable and talk to me about their grief, because it's the opportunity to say goodbye to someone is so beautiful and rare. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about on this tour, because a couple weeks ago, we learned about the death of Steve Albini, and that was so sudden and out of nowhere. And his family I don't know the details, but you'd imagine they might not have had a chance to say goodbye. And so even if it's an interrupted connection through a window, at least, the chance to say goodbye to someone you love is so special. So it's nice to think about and talk about with others too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And through song, that story, connecting with people, but also being so vulnerable on the record about the records that you make, right? I think
thanks for playing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ending on a high note, anything happened this tour so far that you want to share, a funny story, or just, heading back to Chicago, what sort of memories you have banked that you might want to share with folks on the internet?
Oh my gosh. This is the last day, so we got a few.
I was just going to say Jenny from the Decemberists is really good at dice.
Oh,
yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Does it get pretty heated?
We've been playing a lot of dice.
There was a puppy at the show
There was a puppy at the show yesterday. We have a lot of recency bias. Yesterday was a big day in Indianapolis. Let's see.
We've been getting a lot of gushers. That's our our green room treat.
Your writers only gushers.
At this
Pretty
point,
much,
yeah.
And they keep getting larger.
Yes. Yeah, one large mega gusher. Yeah, people see that on our writer and they get, I think, very excited. And so we've had a lot of gushers in the last few weeks. Our blood sugar is
You're
extremely high.
fortified
Yeah, we are fortified.
Yeah, they have vitamin C.
Somebody get these guys a kale salad stat. As soon as they get that.
we need a vegetable. But yeah, it's been such a fun tour. They like the Decembers are such road dogs and like I don't know, like legendary musicians. So it's cool to see what they do up close.
Yeah,
Pretty
awesome,
sweet.
Bill. But would love to see you in a club setting sometime too.
Yeah.
Soon here, so come back. Come
We'll
on
be back. Yeah, we
Y'all
love
are
it
so
here.
close. Just hop, skip, and a jump, Chicago.
We'll do it. I-65, easy.
We love it. All right. Well, thanks so much for being here, Rat Boys.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Celia.
thanks, Celia.
Appreciate it.